Dr. Ritesh Gujarati, sir. Namaste, sir.
Namaste,
And
namaste.
welcome to Youth of Ayurveda, sir.
Thank
And it's a pleasure to introduce you. And it is really an honor to have you as one of our speakers today. Dr. Ritesh Gujarati, sir, is Associate Professor in the Department of Samhita Siddhant at G.J. Patel Ayurveda College, New Vallabh Vidyanagar, Gujarat, and is a very senior faculty of Samhita Siddhant and one of my teachers for Samhita Siddhant and a wonderful personality. When I told him that he should help us to lecture about Samhita Siddhant, he readily agreed, and we are very glad to have you here, sir. Thank you so much. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Namaste and good evening to all of you. As my previous speaker has talked about the history of Ayurveda, I am here to talk about introduction to Samhitas, that is the ancient texts of Ayurveda, and what is the importance of these Samhitas in learning and practicing Ayurveda. So just let me share my presentation. Just a minute. Yeah. So basically the first part of my presentation is introduction of the Samhitas, and presentation of introduction of Samhitas is not possible without the ancient teaching methodology, because as Dr. Dhanvantari has told, basically this is a science which is 5,000 years old, and certainly as the time passed, the teaching methodology of Ayurveda has taken many turns. So let me start my presentation with ancient teaching methodology. So you can see in the photographs. So previously the teaching methodology was like that. All the students used to live with the teacher at a particular place, which was called as Gurukul, and the students used to stay there till they finish their education. And the ancient teaching was not possible or was not complete without the education or learning of Vedas. So Vedas are considered as the most ancient wisdom on this planet. As Dr. Jaivir has told, these are the Vedas: Rigved, Yajurved, Samved, and Atharvaved. Precisely talking about Ayurveda is very close to Atharvaved, because Atharvaved talks about the health and diseases of individuals and how we need to take care of these diseases or how we need to manage these diseases. Even in certain texts, it is told that Ayurveda should be considered as the fifth Ved. So when we talk about ancient Ayurveda teaching methodology or Gurukul Parampara, there are certain references in the history of Ayurveda about these Samhitas, that is Brahma Samhita, Dhanvantar Samhita, Bhaskar Samhita. But majority of these Samhitas, as my previous speaker has told, that the exchange of knowledge was only in verbal form or oral form. So all the Samhitas were taught verbally. So that was the basic difference in today's teaching and the ancient teaching methodology. And this was the time where the term Samhita was coined the first time. So now let us see what exactly it meant by Samhita. So Samhita is basically it is a collection of verses which are methodologically, in a proper methodology, they are arranged. So teaching of all the subjects related to Ayurveda was done through various Samhitas. In ancient era, Ayurveda was about Ashtanga Ayurveda. So basically, the teaching of Ayurveda through Samhitas was about the 8 branches of Ayurveda. As I told you, Samhita was only in verbal form, and after some years, there is no exact evidence that when this particular switchover took place, that the Samhita previously was on verbal form, and then the Samhita came this particular form of text. So you can see when these Samhitas took a form of text, the teachers used to teach these Samhitas along with the text, and these are the Samhitas: Sushruta Samhita, Charak Samhita, Bhela Samhita, Haris Samhita, Kashyap Samhita. Nowadays, all these Samhitas are available, but only Sushruta Samhita and Charak Samhita is available in complete form. The Samhitas which are told in previous slide, in the due course of time, and as the exchange of knowledge was in only verbal form, somehow we have lost all those Samhitas. So today, when we talk about Ayurveda, basically we have to take shelter of Sushruta Samhita and Charak Samhita. all these Ayurveda Samhitas are basically considered as the most ancient documented medical knowledge on this entire planet Earth. Since ages, the teaching, learning, and practice of Ayurveda was based on Samhitas. Ancient Vaidyas or doctors used this knowledge for the well-being of mankind, and that is to keep the health of healthy individuals and to take care of the diseases of patients. So ultimately, the main aim of all of those Vaidyas is to keep balance the body tissues. So ultimate purpose was to serve the humanity, was the ultimate aim of Samhitas. Now all these Samhitas are basically divided into uh, two kinds. The first is Bruhatrayi, is basically about the Samhitas or texts which have more number of shlokas or comparatively larger content is there. So talking about the history of Ayurveda, Sushruta Samhita, as the historians say, this Samhita can be placed in the history around 1500 to 1000 BC. Charak Samhita can be placed in the time duration of 1000 BC. After that, there's Ashtang Sangra, which is comparatively nearer, that is 600 to 650 AD. And after that, immediately Ashtang Hriday came into existence, that is around second half of 7th century. So all these Samhitas, Sushruta Samhita, Charak Samhita, Ashtang Sangra plus Ashtang Hriday are called as Brihatrais. And after that came into existence Lagutrais, comparatively the Samhitas which will have smaller content or less number of shlokas. So in 7th century, Madhavnidan came into existence. 13th century, Sharandar Samhita came into existence. And 16th century, Bhav Prakash came into existence. So talking about the knowledge of Ayurveda in Samhita is about Ashtanga Ayurveda. So Ayurveda talks about the 8 branches of Ayurveda, that is Kaya Chikitsa, which can be understood as general medicine in today's context. Then Balrog, previously Balrog was taking care of pediatrics along with gynec as well as obstetrics. Graha Chikitsa was particularly related to the diseases of planetary positions or supernatural entities which are responsible for the diseases and their treatment. Urdhvanga was specifically related to the diseases of supraclavicular area. It means the diseases which are located in head and neck. So particularly the disorders of eyes, ears, nose, throat, all these diseases, their line of treatment and everything is told in Urdhvanga. Urdhvanga is also known as Shalakya Tantra. Then Shalya Tantra is basically about the surgical branch of Ayurveda. Danshta talks about the diseases which are due to the consumption of poisons or due to various kinds of bites due to poisonous snakes or insects and their management. Also, it talks about medical injury prevention. Then the 7th branch of Ayurveda is known as Jara, is also famously known as Rasayan, that is rejuvenation therapy or the therapy which reduces the aging process. And the last branch of Samhita is particularly Vrishan or Vajikaran. Famously, it is also known as aphrodisiac, or in layman's language, it is also known as sexual tonics. So each Samhita certainly is having its own peculiarity. So Sushruta Samhita is basically the text of surgery. Charak Samhita is basically the text of medicine. Ashtang Sangra and Ashtang Hriday, both the books are basically compilation where the verses are taken from Sushruta Samhita as well as Charak Samhita. Both these books, Ashtang Sangra as well as Ashtang Hriday, majorly talk about Kaya Chikitsa. Then Madhav Nidan specifically talks about Rog Nidan, that is diagnostics. Sharandar Samhita is about pharmaceutics, that how we need to prepare our formulations in the form of tablets or decoctions or various kinds of formulations. Then Bhav Prakash is about pharmacology. Specifically, it talks about various herbs, their properties, their indications, their contraindications. So, each and every Samhita was having around 5 to 8 sections. The first section of most of the Samhitas is called as Sutrasthan, which basically deals about the basic principles of Ayurveda. The next section, particularly I am talking about Charak Samhita, is called as Nidanstan, which is related to diagnostics. Vimanstan is about the quantification or measurement of various entities. Sharistan majorly talks about the anatomy and physiology aspect of human being. Indriya San is basically about bad prognostics. So it talks about various signs and symptoms which can be understood so that the residual lifespan of the person is very less. So these are also called as imminent signs and symptoms of imminent death. Chikitsa San specifically talks about the line of treatment of various diseases, so can be translated as medicine. Kalpastan talks about 600 formulations for Vaman and Virejan. Vaman and Virejan are basically the procedures which are called as Panchakarma or purification therapies. So for purification therapies in Ayurveda, there are 600 formulations. So this section talks in detail about these formulations, how we need to prepare them, what are the indications and contraindications. Then the last section is called as Siddhisthan, which is very much important in the context of success of any physician because it talks about the purification methods, their complications, and how one can manage these complications. So for succeeding in the practice, it is very much important that the physician should be very much aware about all these complications and their management. Now let us see about Ayurveda learning. So in the ancient texts of Ayurveda, that is in Charak Samhita, Ayurveda learning is considered as a lifelong process and which is divided into three steps. The first step is called as Adhyanam, means learning of Ayurveda from the preceptors. Then the second step is called as teaching. So first is learning, second is teaching, and the third is known as Tadvidya Sambhasha, means the discussions with the experts or participating in the debates. So one has to start from learning, then the next level is teaching, and the third is uh, discussion with experts. So this is how one can go into the depth of Ayurveda or one can understand the fundamentals of Ayurveda and practice them very easily. There's one more quotation related to the Samhita learning, which is available in Ashtangridayam, a text which is written in 7th century, second half, which talks about that if one wants to master any of the Samhita, the first step is Patha, that is daily reading and recitation of the verses which are told in Samhitas. The second step is avbodh. It means proper understanding of the concepts because as all the samhitas are written in Sanskrit, so one should be well versed with the Sanskrit words. He should or she should know the concepts. So that's avbodh. And the third is practicing of the samhitas. So one cannot be expert in the medical field, particularly in Ayurveda, without these three steps, that is Patha, avbodh, and Anushthan. And one who is well versed with the samhitas and who has practiced the samhitas at all the three levels, then it is said that the benefits like dirgham jivitam arogyam means one can have a very healthy and long life if he understands and practices all those concepts throughout his life. Now, this presentation will not be complete without commentaries. So, commentary is an integral part in the understanding of Samhitas. Now, what is the commentary? Commentary is basically written by various acharyas or ancient ages for better understanding of the Samhitas. So, Sushruta Samhita, this famous commentary Nibandha Sangra, Ayurveda Deepika is a commentary of Charak Samhita, Indu commentary of Ashtang Sangra, and Sarvang Sundara and Ayurveda Rasayan commentaries of Ashtangridaya. It is very much important that if anybody who wants to command the Samhitas or to understand the Samhitas, he has to go through all the commentaries, then and then only he will be able to get the hidden meanings of all the shlokas. Also, all these commentaries helps us to understand about the practicing of Samhitas. Now, it is also mentioned in Samhitas that continuous efforts are needed to study the Samhitas, which says that for proper pronunciation of the shlokas or verses is needed. Artha Vijnanam is proper understanding of all the shlokas. Pragalbe Karpanayamune means there's a proper weightage for the clinical skills of those subjects. Tad Abhyasa. So one should be continuously indulged in reading and recitation of the Samhitas, as well as he should always make the efforts to improve the clinical skills, and then only a person can achieve the success in his or her own practice. Now let us see what is the importance of the Samhitas in learning and practicing the Ayurveda. Now, for proper practicing Samhitas, one has to have a particularly thorough expertise in theoretical knowledge as well as practical knowledge. So there are three quotations which talk about the mixture, that 50% weightage to theoretical knowledge as well as the same weightage is also available for practice. Now this verse goes through like yastu kevala shastradhya means a person who has only got a theoretical knowledge but doesn't have proper clinical skill. Then it is said that if a physician who has only got theoretical knowledge and doesn't have practical skills, whenever a patient visits such physician, then this physician will be confused at how he should treat. So certainly clinical skills are also important. In the same way, a physician who is only well versed in clinical skills and doesn't have a sound knowledge of samhitas or theoretical knowledge, then sasatsu pujam na apnoti means such physician who doesn't have theoretical knowledge, only has got clinical skills, will not be will not get respect in experts. And even the shlok further goes like such physicians who are having only clinical skills are eligible for death sentence by a king. So itself it shows that theoretical knowledge is very much important. Now the third, this verse is basically relevant to this image. You can see on the screen the image, a bird who is having only one wing and the another wing is not there. So basically a physician who is either only expert in theoretical knowledge or only in clinical knowledge, he is like a bird who has only got one wing and he is not able to fly. In the same way, a physician who is only having either clinical skills or theoretical skills is not able to treat the individuals or patients. There's one more quotation related to importance of samhita, which clearly mentions that after say receiving or after learning the knowledge of Ayurveda from the preceptors, one has to continuously indulge in the study of samhitas, and the purpose is shastrasya drudhatayam. It means if one wishes that whatever the knowledge he or she has pursued from the preceptors, and that knowledge should stay with him or her for a longer duration, then continuous study of samhitas is required. Also, abhidhanasya sthaushtave, it means proper understanding of the concepts, proper understanding of the verses, and most important for the propagation of Ayurveda, one has to have a proper knowledge about samhitas, and that's why bhuya bhuya prayate means continuous efforts are needed for proper studying of this samhitas. Even talking about the base qualities of the physician, the first quality which is described in Charak Samhita is Shrute Paryavad Atatvam, which clearly mentions that the student should have received the knowledge from the preceptors and that also from the Samhitas. So it shows the importance of proper knowledge of samhitas. Now, this, you can see here, these are the two pictures. Here, the first picture is of a blind person, and another picture is of a boat without a sailor. So it is told that Varam Atma Huto Agyen means basically these are the guidelines for the patient, that the patient shouldn't go to a physician who is an ignorant physician who doesn't have either theoretical skills or clinical skills. Instead of going to such physician, the person rather set himself or herself on fire instead of going to such physicians. And here the condition is compared with a person who is blind, who is facing a lot of difficulty. He is confused that in which way he or she should go, or a boat which is devoid of sailor and which is basically driven by the wind. In the same way, of physician who doesn't have proper knowledge of samhitas, certainly he or she will be confused and will not be able to treat the patient in proper direction. So certainly the knowledge of samhita is very much important. As I have told you that there are Bruhatrayis and Lagutrayis. Now this shlok talks about the knowledge of all the samhitas. It is recommended that each and every clinician should be well versed with all the samhitas. So that's why the quotation goes like Ekam Shastra Madhyano na Vidyat Shastra Nishchayan. It means if a physician is only well versed with only any of the samhitas, then he is not capable of treating the individuals in proper. So it is always recommended Tasmat Bahusrutaha. So a physician should be well versed with all the samhitas, whether he is a say expert of medicine or whether he is an expert of surgery. He should have proper knowledge of all the Bruhatrayis and Lagutrayis. Now, there's one more quotation which talks about the importance of samhitas, which clearly mentions talking about the qualities of Vaidya, who falls in the category of Pranabhisar, means a physician who can take care of the life in a proper way. So the first quality is Tasmat Shastre Artha Vidyane. Tasmat Shastra Artha Vigyane means the physician or surgeon should have a thorough knowledge of Samhitas. Even the Acharyas further go and said that you can see the picture that the light or a lamp is needed to see the things in a dark room. In the same way, Samhitas are like the source of light which helps the physician or doctor to see the things in the patient's body so that they can easily identify the causative factor, they can easily identify the sign and symptoms and treat the individual in a proper way. So Samhitas are basically there to show the light or pathway in a right direction to the physician. Even talking about the base qualities of physician, Charak Samhita says, Shakya Pritihi Upekshanam means physician should know and he should always treat the diseases who are only curable. And he should always stay away from the diseases which are not curable. So the knowledge about the curable diseases and not curable diseases is not possible without the thorough command of Samhitas. And that's why one should be well versed with Samhitas. Even further, in Charak Samhita, it is said that particularly if a physician treats the individuals who fall in the category of incurable diseases, then certainly he will end up with, he'll lose money, he will lose the name and fame, and that's why thorough understanding of Samhitas is needed. Then only physician can decide whether the patient should be taken for treatment or the patient should be referred or should not be treated. So for all these things, proper knowledge of Samhitas is very much needed. So this is all about my presentation. So let me acknowledge Dr. Dhanvantari and the team of Youth of Ayurveda for providing me the opportunity to interact with all of you. And at the end, let me thank you, all of you, with this beautiful quotation, which is from Ashtanga, which clearly mentions that idam agam siddhatvat, means whatever which is told in Samhitas is proved since ages. That my previous presenter has also told that this knowledge is about 5,000 years old. So in the 5,000 years, we have seen the beauty of this knowledge and pratyaksha phala darshanat. Even we can see the principles which are told in Samhita, they are still there, and we are practicing all those principles with our patients as well as healthy individuals. And at the end, Vagbhat says, Mantravas sampravattavyam, means whatever told in Samhita should be practiced like sacred hymns, like sacred mantras. So blindly we should trust our Samhitas and we should practice them for the well-being of the society. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really a wonderful moment that we had you here talking about Dr. Ritesh Gujrati, sir. As you have listened to him now, that he's one of the best teachers of Ayurveda and basically the basic texts of Ayurveda. He's basically working in the Department of Basic Principles in G.J. Patel Ayurveda College. He is the author of 4 books and 26 research papers. He has also delivered many lectures throughout India, like about 39 to 40 lectures throughout India. Along with this talk, it would be 40, I believe. And he has wonderful clinical research as well. Sir has, along with the basic text, usually we believe that someone who is a master in the basic text or someone who is a teacher or lecturer or professor in a college won't have much clinical skills, but sir is equally good with his clinical skills as well, which you might have understood from the lecture and presentation from sir. Thank you so much, sir. Namaste, sir. And we are really glad, wonderful to have you here, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.